In this video, let's understand how to access a Cisco switch using its command line interface. Now in front of us is a Cisco switch. It has 12 ports here and 12 ports here. So it is a 24 port RJ45 Cisco switch, and there are 4 SFP ports as well. If we want to connect fiber cables in here, then you will need a small SFP module which somewhat looks like this. So after connecting it on this place, you can have a fiber connection to this switch. But to access CLI, there you can see that there is a console port right there. So if you connect console port to your PC using some sort of cable, then you will have CLI access to the switch. Apart from this console port, we also have a micro USB port using which we can also access the switch through the CLI. We'll be connecting our switch in this fashion. We can see that this RJ45 or a USB, whatsoever console port we are using, it is connected to our PC. And apart from that, we have other CLI access options as well. There is Telnet and there is SSH. These are these are the ways using which you can access our switch from remote areas. But in this video, we'll be mostly focusing on how we can use the console cable, and at the physical location, we can access the switch. So we can connect our switch using these three methods. We have more than these. So there is RJ45 port, as I've shown you in the previous slide. This is a RJ45 port. You can connect one end of the RJ45 to the switch and the other port to the serial port. So these type of cables we know as rollover cable. So they look like this. This is a DB9 connector and this is a RJ45 port. So RJ45 port goes here in the switch, DB9 port goes here in the computer. Nowadays in the laptops, we do not generally have this serial port or DB9 port. That is why we do not use mostly these method nowadays. But we also have a RJ45 console to USB port cable as well. So that direct cable is available in the market as well. But we can have a connection from rollover cable to USB port by using a USB DB9 to USB converter. So if we have this DB9 to USB converter, then we can connect this DB9 connector to here, and we can have a connection from switch to the computer. And apart from that, there is USB to USB cable as well. Now after making the connection with the switch, make sure that you have turned on the switch and it is booted completely. After connecting the switch, check out your device manager. Go there and you will see under ports section, COM and LPT, you will see a COM port that is newly added into this port section. So it could be COM port 3, it could be COM port 4 that you will see in your device manager, and note that COM number so that we can have a serial connection using a serial application. Okay. Now after checking the COM port, mine is COM3. You can open the putty application, and in serial line you have to write the serial port that is shown in your device manager. Speed you have to choose 9600 and connection type is serial. After checking all these details, you have to click open and your putty session will be started, and you will have the console CLI access to your switch. Now before hitting any command, we'll see that how many modes are there, and what sort of features the Cisco switch is providing to us. So irrespective of the connection type that we have made to the switch, this is the in this case there is console, you'll enter into the user mode. So in user mode, as we can see, that you can only hit these commands. So you can ping, you can telnet, you can do trace route, but you cannot see any configuration that is there inside the switch. So very basic commands in the user mode. So to enter the user mode, there is this there is no command. I'm sorry, there is no command. By default, we will be inside the user mode, and there is second mode, that is enable mode. So by hitting enable command, we can get inside the enable mode. So in enable mode, there are these sort of command that we can run. In enable mode, we can see what are the configurations that are there inside the switch, and there are more options that were there against in the user mode. So in this mode you cannot do any configuration, but see what is there inside in the switch, what configuration that has been done previously. Okay. And after entering into the enable mode, we can also further proceed to the configuration mode as well. So in the configuration mode, we can configure the terminal. Actually, we can modify our switch configurations and manage our ports and everything that a switch offers. So here we can see various options. There is MAC configuration and there is access list. So a lot of options are there that we can do in the configuration mode. And this is the, this is the normal convention. So if you want to move from user mode to enable mode, you have to hit the enable command. And if you want to again get back to the user mode, you have to hit the disable command. But to reach to the configuration mode, you first have to hit the enable command. And after hitting the enable, you will be inside the enable mode. And after again hitting one more command, that is configure terminal, we will be inside the configuration mode. And we can get out of this configuration mode by hitting end. Okay, so let's see how it works inside a switch. Okay, so we are inside our switch and we are currently inside the user mode. So in user mode, if we do not know what commands are there, we can enter shift plus the question mark key, and we can see that the commands that are available to us inside the user mode are shown on the terminal. So there is ping, there is telnet, there is traceroute, if ping and traceroute what they do. So now let's move on to the enable mode. To get into the enable mode or privileged mode, enter enable, type enable and press enter. Now you can see that from this arrow, we have moved to this asterisk symbol. That means we are inside the privileged mode. Here, if we do not know what commands are there, we can again press shift and simultaneously the question key, and you will see all the commands that are there inside the privileged mode. So more commands are there, which we are there inside the user mode. Now we can see there is write, there is reload, there is show command as well. So if we type show running config, we can see what configuration is there inside our switch right now. But yet we cannot configure our switch. So to configure our switch, we can write configure terminal, and we will be inside the configuration modes. So see, we can see in the bracket, we are inside the config mode. So very basic thing that we can do is to change the name of the switch. So we can write host name switch 1. See, switch has been changed to the switch 1. Now to go back to the previous mode, that is privileged mode, we can hit Control C or end button. So end. So we are again into the privileged mode and we cannot do any configuration right here. So if we again go to the configure mode, sorry, configure terminal, and we can again get out of this by using Control Z. So there are two options. You can press either end or Control Z. Now again, if we want to get out of the privileged mode and get to the user mode, we can obviously disable, type disable, as initially we typed enable to get inside the privileged mode. Now after get back to the user mode, we can type disable. And during this time, we can have one problem, that is if by mistake you type some wrong command, then it will show this translating domain server some sort of command. So if we get into such problem, you will just have to enter Control Shift and 6, and this will get back to you to the user mode again, or any mode that you are inside. Okay. Now this is a very helpful table that is available. Now if you do not know what commands are there inside any mode, you can just type a question mark as I demonstrated using shift plus the question mark key. You'll see the list of commands that are there available in that mode. The next is command plus question mark. So there is no plus, but if you want to use show command and do not know what are the parameters that are there after the show command, you can just enter a question mark after giving a space, and you will see the switch list text to describe all the first parameter options for the command. You'll see what are the options that are there after entering the show commands. Okay. Uh, After that, this is com and question mark. So lists command that start with com. So let's see if you forget how to write show command, you can write sh and give a question mark. You'll see that a list of commands that start with sh will be outputted by the switch. And apart from that, there are various options as well. So by trying various commands, you will learn how the CLI command line interface works. Okay. Now there is one more thing that you need to understand is that in a switch there is two types of RAMs. One is RAM and second is NVRAM. Okay. Now RAM, as we know, is a random access memory, and whatever that is stored inside this memory is vanished when we power off the system. And this is non-volatile RAM. That is, even if the switch is powered off, the things that are stored inside NVRAM will not vanish. Okay, so this is used where we is used to store the configuration. See, when you write something, do some configuration or modifications that are stored inside the RAM as running config, and you will see that the modifications are applied to the switch. But if by accident the switch gets power off, and if you try to uh, power on the switch again, you'll see there is no configuration inside the switch. So to avoid this situation, we have NVRAM, and after configuring the device, we can hit command write memory. Our commands will be stored to the NVRAM, and we can see those commands by hitting the command startup config. So take this in your mind that whenever you do some modifications or do any changes, you need to write those commands to the memory. So those commands will be moved from your RAM to the NVRAM. That is non-volatile RAM, and you can see those commands by hitting the command startup config. And to see these commands, you have to go inside the privilege mode. You cannot see these commands inside the user mode. Okay. So that was it in this video. We learned how to do basic cabling and what are the different modes that are there inside the switch. We saw how we can use this table to get help and write commands in the command interface. And in the next videos, we will see how to do the basic or initial configuration of the switch and more related to the switch. Okay, thank you so much.